What's going on, everyone? So I decided that I wanted to do a new segment for the channel because this is something I really enjoy. It's something I have a lot of fun talking about. And I did a video a while back where I was asking people what films they would like to see added into the Criterion Collection. And I have a pretty extensive Criterion Collection myself. I get a lot of the Blu-rays, and I think Criterion does a great job restoring these films and putting them out on Blu-ray and kind of giving you some behind the scenes footage and things. And so I thought I would start this segment, which I'm going to call the Criterion Corner, where I'm going to pull some Criterion films that I watch, give you guys some recommendations, and let you know what I've been watching in the collection. Hopefully getting some comments from you to see what films in the collection you love, what movies you would recommend to me, because there's a lot of films in the collection that I haven't seen, a lot of directors that I've never watched their material, and so I'm really looking forward to doing this series. And the film I'm going to be talking about today is Tampopo. Tampopo is directed by Juzo Itami. A pair of truck drivers happen onto a decrepit roadside fast food stop selling ramen noodles. The widowed owner, Tampopo, begs them to help her turn her establishment into the paragon of the art of noodle soup making. So this is a film that has been on my watch list for an eternity, and I have the Criterion channel, and so a lot of times when I want to see a film that's in the collection or that Criterion recommends, I'll watch it on the channel first and then I buy it. And this was one I literally picked up the Blu-ray like as soon as I was finished watching it. I was like, order, because I loved it so much. The way that this film is described when you look it up is a Western about ramen noodles, and I think that's a really great explanation to this film. You have these two truck drivers who are driving in the middle of the night. It's dark and it's rainy. They're talking to each other about how hungry they are, and they go into this woman's ramen noodle shop, and it's this really like dark, dingy looking place. There's not a lot of people inside. They're kind of like rough looking though while they're in there, and they eat and they get into a fight with these people. Start talking about ramen noodles to the owner of this place, and she wants these two gentlemen to kind of take her under their wings and to make this ramen shop a place where it's all about the art of making ramen. And that's really the film, is these two people teaching Tampopo how to make the best ramen, and the people that they bring in to help her learn the art of noodle making. And I just thought that this movie was brilliant, and it's interesting, and it's so uniquely different than what you're used to watching. The way that the narrative in this movie works is so incredible, because you have this through line plot of obviously the truck drivers and Tampopo and her son, and building on that world, making it really immersive. There's this scene where one of the truck drivers says that he's going to take Tampopo to meet the noodle master, and they go to this place where there's all these seemingly homeless guys out who have this incredibly immense knowledge of all the restaurants in this area that they're living in, and it's just hysterical. And he is a noodle master. He knows everything about the art of ramen, creating the perfect broth, and bringing him in. And it's so interesting. And the way that the editing works in this movie is fucking flawless. You're watching this film. What's interesting is, like I said, you have the main plot, but then you have all these I don't want to say random, because it really works to the film's advantage to look at these different vignettes that are introduced. But you have all of these different storylines that are shown to you as the viewer that add to the overall impact that the film is trying to make. Where you have this scene that our characters are walking through a restaurant, and then like the camera just kind of cuts over to this group of women who are eating this ramen restaurant, and the older woman, who we're not introduced to any of these characters, given any of their names, she's teaching these women how to eat noodles. It's pasta seemingly, with etiquette, talking about the way it's perceived in the United States and how you're supposed to eat this food and make it so that you're super quiet and that you're not gonna, distract the rest of the restaurant. and you have this guy in the other corner of the restaurant who's eating his noodles, and he's just slurping as loud as he possibly can and enjoying his meal. And then it cuts back to these women, and they're just kind of like slurping it up with him. You have this really beautiful segment where there's this woman who's really sick. He's got a doctor there, and she's dying, and her husband is like breaking down, and he says, "Honey, make us dinner again one more time." And she gets up off of her deathbed and makes food for her family for one last time. And you have all of these really beautiful vignettes, because at the heart of this film, at least for me personally, and obviously with cinema, everyone has an interpretation of what a movie means and what it is. But I think this movie at its core is just how food, the ramen in particular in this film, impacts you at different moments in your life. Especially with the last shot of this film, which I won't give away, that kind of makes the film feel cyclical in a way, where you have all those, like I said, vignettes of how this very specific type of food impacts this filmmaker throughout different segments of his life. And then you have a mother and son relationship in this film, where the son is being really horribly bullied by kids in his school, and the two truck drivers, especially the lead truck driver, is trying to teach him kind of how to stand up for himself, the importance of standing up for yourself. And then you have the relationship between the main truck driver and Tampopo, and their relationship together and how that grows. And then you have this really interesting vignette that the characters never introduced, but you have this guy in a really like bright white tuxedo with a fedora, and he's with this woman, and the film opens with them in a movie theater directly addressing the camera. And it's awesome. It hooked me within 2 seconds. The filmmaking, the way that it's shot, and I just think that this movie's brilliant. And I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say if you've seen Tampopo and your thoughts to this film, because I think that it is just a work of genius, and it's a movie that I can see myself watching over and over again. It's a movie that will make you hungry, without a doubt. You're gonna watch this movie, the ramen in it looks amazing. They're constantly like making new recipes, and it's just, it's lighthearted, but it's also has its moments that it's very dark. Overall, I just think that this movie is incredible, and it's one that I would highly recommend you check out. So have you seen Tampopo? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I think this movie is brilliant, and it 100% deserves to be in the Criterion Collection. As always, if you like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm really excited to do this new Criterion Corner segment. I love the Criterion Collection, and when I made that video where I asked about the Criterion channel or the Criterion Collection and what films you guys would like to see, it got really great reception, some of the most views I've ever gotten on a video, and so I look forward to seeing how this one is perceived. As always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.